Hello guys, welcome to my channel techmon.in. In this video, we will learn basic concepts of dynamic programming and apply them on Fibonacci series. Okay, so first let's look at what Fibonacci series is. It is defined as f of n equal to 0 if n is 1. Okay, 1 if n equal to 2, okay, and else if it is f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2 when n is greater than 2. Okay, what does this means? So let's create a Fibonacci series for 10 elements. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, when n is 1, okay, this is our n's. Okay, we have 0. If n is 2, we have 1, and if n is greater than 2, we have f of n minus 1. So current n is 3. Okay, 3 minus 1, it is 2. So we have 1 plus we have n minus 2. So 3 minus 2, it is 1. So value of 1, which is 0. Okay, so then total we have 1 here. Okay, similarly for n equal to 4, here we will calculate for it. So 4 minus 1, which is value of 3, which is 1 again, plus value of 4 minus 2, which is 2. Okay, here. Okay, so we will again have 1. Okay, we will take it and then sum it up 2. Okay, let's calculate it for 5. For 5, we will pick value of 4, 5 minus 1, which is 2, plus we will pick a value of 5 minus 2, which is of 3. Then we have 3 here. Okay, now let's do for 6. We will pick for 5, which is 3, plus for 4, which is 2, and we get 5. And similarly it will be for this one, 5 plus 3, which is 8. Then it will be 5 plus 8, which will be 13. Then it will be 13 plus 8, which will be 21. And then finally 21 plus 13, it will be 34. Okay, so that's how we our Fibonacci series is defined as, and we will first apply it without using any um, dynamic programming technique, and then we'll come back and apply it on normal using dynamic programming. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's write our Fibonacci function. Fibo. Okay, let's call it Fibo. Okay, it will take n. So as we saw here, if our n is 10, we will compute its value. Okay, so also let's apply these rules here. So we have, if n is 1, we will return 0. If n equal to 1, what we will return? We will return 0. Okay, L if since we will return after this, will return if the first condition is met. So we can also write elif, or we can write if as well. Both will work the same. Okay, if n equal to 2, if this is the case, what we will do, we will return 1, as you can see here. Okay, if neither is the case, what we will return, as you can see here, it is kind of overwritten. So let me write again. If n is for f of n greater than 2, what we are going to write, f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2. Okay, since our function is now FIBO, we will write FIBO of n minus 1 plus FIBO of n minus 2. Okay, so that is all for the Fibonacci series. Okay, now we will just run it. Okay, now we will, okay, suddenly taking too much time just to run this. Okay, meanwhile let's write our, so we will calculate the FIBO of 10. Okay, so as you can see here, we got 34 for FIBO of 10. Okay, now we got 34. So let's quickly run a loop for I in range 0 to 11 because it runs one less, and let's bias I, let's call it n instead of I. Okay, let's run it. So what we are expecting to see here is the same results as these. So as you can see here, we got maximum recursive depth exceeded. Okay, so reason for that is we are starting from 0. Okay, and we are not handling the condition for 0. Okay, so we either we can fix it here, like if n is less than 1, just return, n. Okay, that should or instead of this we can just assert, right, assert n greater than equal greater than 0. Okay, so what assert will do, let me show you. So whenever we enter n less than 1, it will throw an error. Okay, so although what we do right now, we will just enter uh, it in range this forgot to write it. Okay, so as you can see here, 0 1 1 1 2. Okay, 0 1 1 2 3 5 8 13 21 34. Okay, so but how it is working right now, let's also look at here. Okay, so currently for FIBO of 10, we have 10 at the top. Okay, FIBO of 10. Then what it is doing, we will calculate for 9 here and also n equal to 8. Okay, then for 9 it will calculate for 1 less than, which is 8, and it will also calculate for 7, 2 less than. Okay, for 8 it will calculate for 7 and also for 6. Similarly for 7 it will calculate for 6, 5, it will go on like that. Okay, it will take a lot of depth. Okay, so similarly go on. Okay, and for all these as well. Okay, so it will also have chain of its own, which is similar to this chain. Okay, so as you can see here, it is doing so many calculation and which are redundant. For example, this entire tree under 9 to calculate 8 here. Okay, it will redo all these calculation here. For example, 7 it will calculate for 7, then for 6, and let's expand this for 5, for 4, and so on. Okay, so it will do all those computation just for calculating up to 10 of Fibonacci series. So that is a lot of computation it does. Okay, so there are now two approaches to tackle this. First, which we did here, or let me go back here, we started from bottom here. Okay, and then we proceeded up. Okay, so let me tell you what I mean. So for bottom up approach, if we have to calculate for 10, we won't start with 10 and going backward. We won't do that. But what we'll do, we will start from 1, calculates this value, which was this, calculate for 2, and store this result. Okay, calculate for 2, which was 1, store it, calculate for 3, which is 1, store it, calculate for 4, which is 2, and store it. Okay, and then we will proceed from there and reach to 10. Okay, this approach is called bottom up approach. Okay, because we are starting with very lower value and then making our way up to the top to calculate this, and at each step when we are storing the results. Okay, so just like in this case, if we have already stored the value of 8, okay, let's say we have a array here. Okay, this is 0, this is 1, 2, and up to 8. So for 8 we already know the value was 13, right? So in this array I will store the value of 13. So once it comes to this point where it has to calculate the value of 8, it will not calculate it if it is already available in this array. Let's assume these are not available for now, but for 8 it was available. It will just fetch that value here, and this all computation will not be done. Okay, and similarly for assuming for 7 also the value was available, which was 8, no computation here, and for now for 9 it was empty, let's say. Okay, what it will do, it will add 8, or basically calculate the value for 9, which is 8 plus 13, and it is 21. So what it will do, it will compute the value for 9, 21, and also store the value here. Okay, so once we have done that, next time if we have to compute for 9, we will just refer to this value. Okay, so that is how bottom work. We proceed from very low value and make our way to the top. Similar to this, we also have, bottom up top down approach, which works like this tree structure. Okay, so this is called top down, basically top to down approach. So what it will do, it will go create entire recursion tree, 9, 8, 8, 7, and it will go up to the bottom. So as I mentioned, there will be a situation where 3, okay, 2, 1, and it will be 1. Okay, we cannot so basically for value of 2 we already have it as 1. Okay, and for this we have 0. Okay, what it will do, it will just like bottom up also, it will also create an array 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will if we are calculating it for 10 for the first time, it will calculate for 1, put its value, for 2 put its value, for 3 put its value, and so on. So let's when it was computing this branch of the tree, it already computed the values for 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. Let's okay, it already computed the value of 7, which was 8, I guess, 13, and 21. Okay, now it will just follow its recursion path. Okay, now it will go to the right hand side, it will see 8, check if 8 were existed here in the array or not. If it did not execute it, it will go to 7, its left branch. Okay, if 7 is not found, it will go to its sub branches. Okay, but if 8 is or 7 is found, it will not do calculation, just pick the value from here, pass it to the root, and similarly for 6 pass it to the root, and same if value for 8 is found, like we have it, it will just pass this value 13 to the root. So for first time it will parse or go to the entire root but it will save us from doing all these repetitive calculation. As you can see here, we had, even though we calculated 6 here, we have another 6, entire sixth branch here to recalculate, so it will stop doing the calculation from that. So these two both approaches saves a lot of time. Okay, so now let's come back to here. I will create a new cell. So what time it does is it will run this function multiple times and just tell us what was the time taken. So as you can see, it ran the loop same function for 10,000 time, and the time taken was 43.5 millisecond. Okay, let's just keep it here for now. We will also create a Fibonacci function using dp. Okay, def fibo top down. So for top down, we will create array here, dp top down, to store our results. Okay, and since we are calculating for 10 values only, we will write this. So what it will do, as you can see, it will just create the array with 10 elements. Okay, so just like before, we will pass n. So entire structure will look like this only. So I'll make a copy, just make few changes. So after this assert, what we'll do, we will check, or rather than this, better way will be to take a dictionary. Okay, why dictionary? I will so that even if we have beyond here, we are restricting the range to 10. Okay, if we have, let's say, for 10,000 a Fibonacci of 10,000, we have to create that list upfront. Okay, but with dictionary we can just keep on adding. So what we'll do, we will write a condition here: if n in, okay, so what it does is basically, let me create this. So let's run it and let's check if let's say a one in, or not if, just we are checking, is 1 in top down? No, it is not. Okay, but what if I put 1 was 0 and second of Fibo was 1? Okay, is 1 in dp? Now it will return 2. Okay, it is similar to checking the keys. Okay, we are checking keys, as you know, as you might be aware, dictionaries are key value pair. Okay, so we are just checking these keys when we write it in this format. Okay, so I'm going to clear this up. Okay, so now we are done. So if n is found there, what we'll do, we will simply return value of the n. Okay, if that is not the case, so if n is 0 and 1, we can just leave it as it is, because uh, we are already computing the basically we can store it or ignore it, or we can just store it upfront. Okay, now when we are calculating the final value, we will store it before returning. How? Fibo of n will be, let's cut it from here, paste it and return this value. Okay, so let me quickly explain what we are doing. So in this list, what we are doing, we are checking if the, as I mentioned here, this is our array. We are checking if value against 8 exists, then we will return that value. Okay, and for example, in this case we don't have value against 10, right? If that is the case, if we don't have value, then what we'll do, we will compute that value for 10, store it in this list here, dictionary here, and then return it. Okay, this function. Now let's first calculate the same. Okay, same values. Now let's also compare it with time. Oh my god, we had two. Okay, same for here. It has computed. Okay, now let's run. Okay, now it will give us the time. As you can see here, okay, the value, it is much smaller. Okay, because it is micro into the power 3, into the power minus 3. Okay, and here it is ns, meaning nanosecond. Okay, and nanosecond, I guess it is yeah, nanosecond is 10 to the power minus 9. Okay, it is 10 to the power minus 3. So as you can see here, it is taking 1000 times, no, or 10 to the power 6 times lesser time as compared to 8. Okay, now let's also write a TP for, bottom up. So for bottom up, we will create a array bottom up. Okay, and so let me write the function as well. Fibo of bottom up, and it will take n as input. Okay, let's add the assert condition just like we did above, and should be greater than 0. Then, as you know, we had some base conditions. So instead of writing them in the function, what we will do, so when our n is 1, we will return 0. When our n is 2, we will return 1. Okay, so now what we'll do, let me quickly explain it to you. So let's say our current array consists of values for n equal to 1, 2 and 3. In array, indices start from 0, so it will be 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, and the value here is 0, 1, 0 plus 1, 1. Okay, now if we are looking for n equal to 2, we will just look here. Our 2 already exists and we will return the value. Okay, if we are looking for n equal to 5, the length of array is 3. Length of a, let's call it a, is less than 5, right? So what we will do, we will expand this array. How we will expand? We will not just put the value of 5, fibo of 5, but we will incrementally start from 4, then 5. Okay, so value for 4 is 1 plus 1, 2, and for 5 it is 1 plus 2, 3. Okay, so now if we have to look for n equal to 4, we will check the length of array again. It is 5, right? And it is greater than n equal to 4. Okay, so we will just refer to this value and return it. Okay, so that is the logic of bottom up. So check if len is smaller than n. Okay, and my bad, comments are like this. So now we will write a condition if length of dp bottom up is less than rn. Okay, then what we will do, as I mentioned here, we will not only put the value of 5, but we will start putting the value from len plus 1, which is len is 3, and we will start putting value from 3 plus 1, which is 4. Okay, so for ni in range len of dp bottom plus 1, okay, as I mentioned, and our end will be at n plus 1. So reason being, our range function always return one less than end range. Okay, so it will return, if we have n as 5, it will return up to 4, but we need 5 as well, so that is why n plus 5. Okay, now we have done that. Now what we will do, we will calculate the value of FIFO of n of 5. Okay, okay, so that will be using FIFO of bottom of ni minus 1. We will take the value of n of I of minus 1 and add it to value of n of I minus 2. Okay, now we have this value. We will not return it like we did above, but we will append it into this FIFO of n of I, okay, into this array. Okay, now once we have done, like we saw here, now we have appended all the elements up to 5. Okay, we will return the required values. So we will do bottom, since as I mentioned here, indices are, so if we are looking for n of I, the index of it will be 4, n minus 1. Okay, so while returning, what we will do, we will return n of n minus 1. Okay, so let's run this function. Let me copy this from here. Okay, and we'll replace the function name, and as you can see, we got the sequence. Now what we will do, we will also run the time it operator on this. Copy this function. Okay, let's wait for a few seconds. So as you can see here, the time for it is also close to 600 nanoseconds. Okay, you must be thinking after comparing the time from top up and bottom that it is taking lesser time top up approach, so it must be better, but that is not the case. Reason being, so our array works like that. If our length of initial array is 2 containing 0 1, and then we append to it, let's say 1. Okay, what it will do, it will make a new array with size 3. Okay, it will copy the values as it is for the first 1, and for 3 it will place here. Okay, next time again, if we append another element, now it will already know the length up to here is 3. It will create a new array of size 4. First 3 values will be copied as it is 0 1 1, and if append was 2. Okay, so now it will append or put the value here. So as you can see here, new memory or new array is created every time, and there is some operation or some time taking to copy these values here, right? So the time which you are seeing, like here it was 340 nanosecond and here it is close to 600. It is not because this approach is slower, but it is because we are appending it too many times, and append operator is always consumes more memory. But here we were using hashing or dictionary, which is much more faster. Okay, so that is all for this video. Here we learned what Fibonacci series is, how to write a recursive function for that to generate it, and we checked how much time it takes it for 10,000 loops. So that is for 10,000 time running this, it took 33 microseconds. Okay, for uptown it took approximately for 1 million, 1 2 3, yeah, close to for 1 million it took 340 nanosecond. And similarly for bottom up approach for 1 million loops it took close to 600 nanoseconds. Okay, so these both are like 10 to the power 6 times faster than our normal approach. So that is the power of dynamic programming. Okay, so please share in the comments if you have any questions, and also do like the video and also subscribe to my channel. So thank you. Bye bye.